You did mention earlier about what you and your colleagues at the African Development Bank over there in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, is doing, the reports that we're expecting by 2024, and you talked about an investment-led growth, that would ensure inclusion. Prof, I'm really curious as to how there would be a balance, because if we take a look at even investment-led growth that we've seen across Africa or even the rest of the world, we also see that if you are not careful there, it creates so much inequality. I was speaking with the Oxfam country head, Oxfam International country head 2 weeks ago on this show, and it was so startling, the figures that Oxfam released, talking about the billionaires that have been created as a result of the pandemic that happened all over the world and even here in Africa. The effect, the rich kept on getting richer and the poor kept on getting poorer. Your report says 15 million people were pushed into extreme poverty. Prof, I hope you're understanding where I'm going to. So how do you balance that investment-led growth, that it will bring out more people, it will bring out more people out of poverty, it will be more inclusive, thereby reducing inequality, and not an investment-led growth that will create more rich people?
Yeah, thank you very much. The whole story around the rich and the poor and the distribution of the welfare gains that comes from economic growth, and the general theory of the trickle down that, when you invest more, the people, the rich grows more, and then you will be able to employ more people. And then basically that theory is something that really needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
You are very right that growing economies doesn't really translate immediately to inclusive growth. And that is why that study that I was talking about is focusing on key actions to drive inclusive growth and sustainable development in Africa. The key words there are inclusive and sustainable, because if the growth is not inclusive, you can create enclaved economies like we have in many African countries and globally, where the top echelon of the 5 to 10% of the population are very wealthy and have access to capital for production and are able to gain the benefits of trading in the market those products that are produced. And normally what happens is that technology owners reap the benefits of growth in any society. It's not just in Africa. It happens in the Americas, it happens in Europe and everywhere. So, and that's why for this report, we focus a lot on investing in that institutional capital that will allow for digitization to happen, allow to broaden the base of growth and access to production, the capital that is required for the factors of production, so that you can be able to grow economies in agriculture, where we have many of African households invested in. And that is why you may realize we just came out from the Dakar 2 summit, led by, again, the president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Kinwumi Adesina, and the chairperson of the AUC, His Excellency Macky Sall, the president of Senegal, that try to mobilize resources to help farming, both small scale, medium scale, and large scale, because it is the largest employer of labor on this continent. So we need to think of how we do growth in a way that is not just growing GDP in numbers, but actually improving the quality of life of citizens.